What if the words you use every day are actually making you weaker? What if the casual phrases you toss around are chains locking down your true potential? Miyamoto Musashi, the most legendary samurai in history, was a man who understood power down to its core. He was undefeated in over 60 duels, a master strategist, artist, and philosopher who knew a warrior's mind is his greatest weapon. But today, in our comfortable modern world, many of us are disarming ourselves without even knowing it. We're using words that chip away at our own spirit, our discipline, and our honor. These aren't just words, they're declarations. They're the audible signal of a weak internal state, of a mindset that's ready to surrender. These are the phrases you might be using every day, completely unaware of their corrosive power. We're about to expose the 7 phrases weak men use constantly, and more than that, we'll channel the spirit of Musashi to understand why these habits are so devastating and how to build an inner dialogue worthy of a warrior. Stick with me, because recognizing these in your own speech is the first step to reclaiming the power you've been giving away. We live in an age of noise, an age of opinions, complaints, and a constant search for validation. In a lot of ways, the modern world cultivates weakness. It encourages you to look for blame, for permission, and for comfort outside of yourself. It teaches you that your feelings are everything, and that discomfort is something to be avoided at all costs. That is the exact opposite of the warrior's path. Miyamoto Musashi lived in a time of brutal consequences. For him, a weak mindset didn't just lead to a bad day, it led to death. He didn't have the luxury of making excuses. His philosophy, written down in works like The Book of Five Rings and the Dokudo, or The Way of Walking Alone, was forged in the fire of life or death conflict. It's a philosophy of radical self-reliance, relentless practice, and absolute personal responsibility. Musashi's philosophy embodies the idea that there is nothing outside of yourself that can make you better, stronger, or smarter. Everything is within. Every time you use a phrase that shifts blame, begs for pity, or declares your own powerlessness, you're violating this core principle. You're looking for a solution outside of yourself where you'll never find one. These 7 phrases are symptoms of a deeper sickness, believing that life happens to you not because of you. Musashi wouldn't just dislike these phrases. He'd be ashamed of them. They represent a willing surrender of the mind, the one battlefield where every man must be king. So, let's begin the audit. It's time to identify the poison so we can find the cure. The first phrase, and maybe the most common one in modern culture, is the childish complaint. That's not fair. You see it everywhere. The employee who gets passed over for a promotion and immediately cries foul. The guy who sees someone else's success and just chalks it up to some unfair advantage. The person who, facing an obstacle, just throws their hands up and protests to a universe that doesn't care. This phrase is poison for 2 reasons. First, it's a flat-out rejection of reality. The world isn't fair. It never has been, and it never will be. The battlefield is uneven. The weather is unpredictable. To waste even a single breath complaining about reality is to waste precious energy that could be used to navigate it. Second, "that's not fair" is a quiet plea for pity. It's the language of a victim. It's a way of saying, this is beyond my control because the rules are rigged, so you can't blame me for failing. Musashi would have found this mindset pathetic. His very first principle in the Dokudo is, accept everything just the way it is. This isn't a call to just give up. It's the ultimate strategic command. A warrior doesn't complain about the terrain. He studies it. He doesn't complain about the storm. He adjusts his sails. Accepting things as they are is the first step to mastering them. When you feel yourself wanting to say, "that's not fair," you have to train your mind to ask a different question. Given the situation, what's my move? This shift takes you from a powerless child to a strategist. It reclaims your power. The world doesn't care if you think it's fair. It only responds to decisive action. The warrior's path isn't about demanding a fair fight. It's about winning the one you're in. The second phrase is the anthem of the self-saboteur. I can't, because I can't start a business, because I don't have the money. I can't get in shape because I don't have the time. I can't learn that skill because I'm not smart enough. Every single one of these is a lie. It's an excuse pretending to be a reason. The word because is used to build a logical-sounding cage for your inaction. You lock yourself inside, making your limits seem like immovable facts instead of challenges to be smashed. This phrase shows a deep lack of resourcefulness. It assumes the path to your goal is a straight, paved road. The moment the road is blocked, the person who says, "I can't," just gives up. They've already decided to lose. Miyamoto Musashi's entire life was a war against this kind of thinking. His philosophy was all about adapting and solving problems. He famously developed a style of fighting with two swords unconventional at the time because he saw it was useful. He studied different weapons, different schools, and even different arts to get an edge. He knew that everything you need is within. A warrior who needs a certain tool and doesn't have it doesn't say, "I can't fight." He finds a new tool. He turns a rock into a weapon. He uses the terrain. He finds a way, or he makes one. The word because is you admitting your creativity and will are already exhausted. The antidote is to reframe the statement into a question. Instead of, "I can't start a business because I don't have money," ask, "How can I start a business with little to no money?" Instead of, "I can't get in shape because I don't have time," ask, "How can I fit exercise into my schedule, even if it's just 15 minutes a day?" This simple switch transforms you from a victim into a problem solver. It fires up the strategic part of your brain. Resourcefulness is a skill, and like any skill, you can sharpen it. Stop building cages with your words and start forging keys with your questions. This third phrase is dripping with the bitter poison of envy. They got lucky. When you see someone achieve something you want and your first reaction is to dismiss it as luck, you're doing two incredibly destructive things. First, you're ignoring cause and effect. You're choosing to ignore the unseen hours of practice, the sacrifices, the risks, and the sheer effort that led to that result. It's easier to believe in the magic of luck than to face the hard reality of your own lack of discipline. Second, you're draining your own battery. Envy is a dead end. It wastes mental energy that you should be investing in your own journey. While you're focused on someone else's good fortune, you're standing still. You're watching another man's race while yours goes unrun. In the Dokudo, Musashi wrote, "Never be jealous." This isn't just moral advice, it's a strategic command. A warrior can't afford the distraction of jealousy. Focusing on an opponent's advantages clouds your judgment and breeds resentment, which Musashi also warned against. A strong mind doesn't see luck, it sees evidence. The success of others is proof that your goal is achievable. It's a map, not a reason to be bitter. The right response to seeing someone else succeed isn't, "They got lucky," but "What can I learn from them? Did they train harder? Did they take a smarter risk? Did they simply put in more hours when nobody was watching?" By asking these questions, you turn envy into education. You turn weakness into a chance to grow. Musashi became the greatest swordsman in Japan by perfecting his own craft, not by complaining about another man's sword. Focus on your own path. The warrior who is dedicated to his own way has no time to be jealous of another's. We're about halfway through, and you might already be hearing some of these phrases in your own head. Recognizing that is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's the first step. If you're finding this useful and you're ready to forge a stronger inner voice, take a second to subscribe. Join a community of men who are choosing discipline over delusion. And now for the fourth phrase, the one that separates the mediocre from the master. It's too hard. This phrase is the sound of you running back to your comfort zone. It's admitting you're not willing to pay the price for something valuable. Every single goal worth achieving lies on the other side of hard. When you say something is too hard, you're surrendering to discomfort. You're running from the very resistance you need for growth. Muscles don't grow from lifting light weights. Steel isn't forged in a cool fire. To declare something too hard is to declare yourself too weak. This mindset is a betrayal of the warrior's spirit. A core part of Musashi's teaching is that there's more than one path to the top of the mountain, but he never said any of them would be easy. His life was one of constant, grueling practice. For him, the difficulty of the path wasn't a roadblock, it was the path. The concept of too hard just didn't exist in his world. There was only the task and the will to see it through. He understood that what feels hard is just the edge of your current abilities. The only way to expand that boundary is to push against it. When a task feels overwhelming, a warrior doesn't retreat. He breaks it down. Musashi's strategy teaches a warrior to know the smallest things and the biggest things. If a wall is too high to climb, you don't say, "It's too high." You find the first handhold. Instead of saying, "Learning this is too hard," say, "I will master the first chapter today." Instead of, "This project is too hard," say, "I will complete the first critical task in the next hour." This approach replaces that feeling of being overwhelmed with momentum. Each small win builds discipline. Life will always throw things at you that are hard. That's a guarantee. Your growth is determined by your decision to face that difficulty with the resolve of a warrior who knows the obstacle is the way. The fifth phrase is subtle. It's the reflexive, needy question, "What do you think?" Now, let's be clear, there's strength in seeking advice. A wise leader gathers intelligence, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about a compulsive need for approval. You know the difference. It's the man who has a great idea but won't act until his friends give their blessing. It's the person who makes a choice and then immediately polls everyone around him to feel better about it. It's the outsourcing of your own conviction. This habit reveals a deep lack of self-trust. It tells the world you don't believe in your own judgment. You're a ship without a rudder, tossed around by the opinions of others. You're asking for permission to believe in yourself. Musashi would be ashamed of this because it spits on the principle of self-reliance. He walked the Dokudo, the path of aloneness. His entire journey was defined by his trust in his own insights, even when they went against conventional wisdom. A warrior has to think for himself and act decisively. He must be his own authority. Musashi didn't take a poll before a duel. He trusted his training, his strategy, and his spirit. The way to fight this is to practice making decisions and standing by them. Start small. Decide what you're having for dinner without taking a survey. Pick a book based purely on your own interest. Finish a small project using your own methods before you ask for feedback. When you have a decision to make, do your research, analyze the situation, and then make the call. And once you've made it, act. Move. If it's the wrong choice, you'll learn a lesson you would have missed if you had just followed someone else's lead. Learn the difference between seeking wise counsel and begging for validation. A warrior consults advisors for perspective. A weak man asks for permission. Trust your own mind. The sixth phrase is a ghost that haunts the weak. It's a chain that binds them to a past they can't change. I regret. To live in regret is to fight a battle that's already over. It's pouring your energy into a bottomless pit. Regret is paralysis. It keeps you looking backward at your mistakes, preventing you from taking action in the only moment that exists, right now. It's important to distinguish regret from reflection. Reflection is a warrior's tool. You look back on a defeat to analyze what went wrong so you can do better next time. Reflection is active, strategic, and dispassionate. Regret is passive and purely emotional. It's wishing reality were different, a pointless exercise that produces nothing but self-pity. Musashi's view on this is brutally simple. The sixth principle of the Dokodo is, do not regret what you have done. For a warrior, once an action is taken, it's part of the past. It's a fact. You can't wish it away. You can only deal with the consequences and move on. To be stuck in regret is to carry the corpse of an old enemy on your back into the next battle. It only slows you down. When you feel regret creeping in, you have to counter it with strategic reflection. Instead of the emotional, I regret that I failed, ask the analytical question, why did I fail? And what lesson can I learn to guarantee my success next time? This transforms the dead weight of regret into the priceless intelligence of experience. It honors the past by learning from it, not by being imprisoned by it. A warrior doesn't have time for regret. He's too busy training for the next fight. Acknowledge the mistake, pull out the lesson, and turn your eyes forward. And that brings us to the seventh and final phrase. The most pathetic and powerless of them all. Why me? This question is the cornerstone of the victim mindset. It's a whine directed at the universe, a complaint that assumes the world is both out to get you and personally invested in your suffering. When a man asks, why me, he's casting himself as the blameless hero in a tragedy he invented. It's a question with no useful answer. There is no cosmic council singling you out for hardship. Hardship is just a part of life. It's random and inevitable. Asking, why me, is as pointless as asking why gravity exists. It's a total waste of energy. Musashi's philosophy offers a much stronger perspective. He taught that a warrior keeps a calm, focused mind, even in chaos. When faced with an ambush, a samurai doesn't look to the sky and ask, why me? He draws his sword. The question isn't, why is this happening to me? The only question that matters is, what am I going to do about it? The phrase, why me, is a complete surrender of your power. It puts you in a state of passive suffering, waiting for an answer that will never come. A warrior understands that adversity isn't a personal attack, it's a test. It's a chance to practice, to sharpen your skills, and to forge your spirit. The next time you face an unexpected trial and you feel that weak impulse to ask, why me? I want you to consciously replace it with the warrior's declaration, try me. This is the ultimate affirmation of your own power and resilience. It's a challenge thrown back at the obstacle. It transforms you from the victim into the hero. It's the mindset of a man who doesn't ask for an easier life, but builds the strength to handle a hard one. We've just audited the 7 phrases that poison the man's mind. That's not fair. I can't because they got lucky. It's too hard. What do you think? I regret, and why me? Each one is a thread in the fabric of a weak mindset, leading to inaction, resentment, and stagnation. Musashi would be ashamed of these phrases because they represent a man willingly giving up his own power. But the beauty of this is that your words are completely under your control. You can't control the economy. You can't control other people. But you can, with discipline, control the words that come out of your mouth and the thoughts you allow in your mind. That's where the warrior's way begins. The next time you feel one of these phrases coming, catch it, pause, and choose a different response. Choose to ask, what's my move? Choose to ask, how can I? Choose to see a lesson where others see luck. Choose to see a path where others see a wall. Choose to trust your own judgment. Choose to learn from the past, not regret it. And choose to meet adversity with the spirit that says, try me. Your words forge your reality. They can be your chains, or they can be the hammer that shapes you into a man of honor. The choice is yours. Your training starts now. In the comments below, declare your first act of war on weakness. Write down which of these 7 phrases you are committing to eliminating from your vocabulary starting today. If this message hit home, subscribe and share it with another man walking the path. Remember Musashi's words, today is victory over yourself of yesterday. Tomorrow is your victory over lesser men. Now, go and become unbreakable.